Hi, Aries, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your January 2022 full moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading, I just want to let you know that I have a protection candle burning for us, a gift from my brother for Christmas, which is absolutely beautiful. It has amethyst and lavender in it, and I hope that you feel its protective energy just as I do. So now, before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. Aries, January 2022 full moon. How will Aries be affected by the January 2022 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. So at the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. At our root, we have the Emperor, which is us shining through. We are represented by the Emperor in the major arcana. We are represented by the Wands in the minor arcana. So the very essence of us shines through. We have the Magician and we have the Hierophant, which is also Taurus energy. So if we're born on the cusp with Taurus, that part of our personality is going to come through very powerfully. Also, if we have Taurus within our natal chart, there's magic to the authority that we are taking within our lives, the power of asserting our voice, of asserting ourselves, of knowing what it is that we want and desire. We have the Three of Cups in our inner self, and we have the Six of Cups. So our emotional self is going to be a little bit intense. Well, our inner self is going to be intense, the way that we're seeing ourselves. There's a lot of healing from the past. There's a lot of bringing the past forward during this time, which makes perfect sense. Our emotional self has the Tower. So yes, of course, there is going to be some chaos there, most definitely. But this is also divinity showing us the change that is coming in, showing us how to move forward for us. The Eight of Pentacles comes into play. The Eight of Pentacles is hard work and dedication and determination. We then have the Seven of Pentacles in the public arena. We're going to have to be patient during this full moon, most definitely. And we have the Five of Wands. There's going to be arguments that come up. Now, the Five of Wands is argument for almost the sake of argument. And this can be situations that we see arising, certain patterns that we see coming forward. It's like, oh, I've been there before. I need to step out of it. I need to be patient with myself as I'm moving forward, as I'm connecting with me. Now, let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of during this time. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Oh, goodness. There we go. This is Aquarius energy. Now, there's going to be certain energy here around our dreams, around our wishes. There could be somebody who uses this as kind of a manipulative tool. I know this is what you really want. If you do this, if you do that, then this will be able to come forward. So there's going to be something here that's really quite intense, that's really quite kind of overwhelming coming forward. It has to do around our dreams. It can be even how we're seeing our dreams at this time. See, the full moon brings forward our closest relationships, and it also brings forward and brings into our realm of being and seeing what is out of balance, what we need to listen to within our lives. And this can be around our dreams, around what we're heading towards, around how we are embracing and, really understanding ourselves. So there's going to be something here that we just need to be mindful of as we're moving forward. Let's look at our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. And this is the I Am Presence, the crown chakra. This is my absolute favorite card in the whole entire deck. This is I am. I am confident. I am proud. I am abundant. I am secure within myself. I am determined. I am in love with who I am. I know what it is that I want. I am successful. I am, all these good things that we can say about ourselves. But then it's also the negative things that we do say about ourselves. And people say, Dane, why do you say the negative? Like, I am sad. I am overwhelmed. I am, so frustrated. I am so angry. I am, never going to get to that point that I want to be. I am a failure, a loser, a person who doesn't live their dreams, who doesn't even know what their dreams are. And people say, Dane, why do you say that? Why do you say that? Because we're supposed to be talking about and focusing on the positive here. Yeah. And when people say the positive things in the I Am Presence, in the crown chakra, when we think about the crown that we place upon our heads, I'm all there. When they say the positive things, I'm like, yes, that's me, that's me. But then when the negative things are said, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. That was Tuesday. That was, me being totally frustrated, me having a meltdown, me having a temper tantrum like a small child. That was me. And we need to acknowledge that within ourselves, that sometimes we get frustrated, that sometimes we're not where it is that we want to be, that sometimes life is more complicated, more overwhelming than we think it should be, or than we need in our lives at this time. So understanding that is super important to understanding the crown that we're putting on our heads, to understanding what we place on our shoulders, what we think, oh, well, I should be able to do this. Well, sometimes we're not. And sometimes that's okay. So being able to connect with that I Am Presence is so important, especially during this full moon. This full moon is in Cancer. This is on the 17th of January, we have the full moon in Cancer. It is the wolf moon. And why it's called the wolf moon is because you hear the wolves more during this time of year, especially if you live in colder climates, because this is a time where it gets really cold. It's been like 3 degrees outside, which is like negative, I don't know what in Celsius. I think it's, yeah. I want to say like negative 10, but that could be absolutely wrong. If you know what it is, listed in the description box below, I'd be very thankful. But it can be so cold. It can be so overwhelming. And it's like the wolf comes out within us. That part of us that says, I need to survive. I need to keep on pushing forward. I'm hungry for XYZ. Even if we're not in the colder parts of the world, in the northern hemisphere, or just the colder parts of the world in general, this can be a time where we feel this kind of hunger for something come forward. And it's in Cancer energy. And Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this just amplifies it, intensifies it. And it says a personal issue reaches resolution. Why? Because we're seeing what we're hungry for. We're seeing what we deeply desire. We're seeing who it is that we are and what it is that we want. And we're going to see certain things that we hadn't been able to look at, that we hadn't been able to understand, reaching a resolution because we're able to see it. We're able to call it out. We're able to see ourselves. So let's talk about this time, astrologically speaking. So a full moon is the sun opposite the moon. Well, the moon opposite the sun, or however you want to say that. With a full moon, our families, our home, our relationships all come into focus, as well as our opposite, as the opposite ideas, the opposites within our lives come into focus. Our home and work balance, what it is that we need to do, what it is that we want to do. And as we start to see this come into balance, we start to need to listen to our inner voice. We start to need to listen to our spirit. What are we being guided towards? What is it that we deeply want, deeply desire, deeply need for ourselves that we're not listening to, that we're just poo-pooing because we have so much else to do, because that frustration isn't important. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's try to fix this person. Let's try to fix that person. Or let's try to fix ourselves and yet get to a certain roadblock that says, I can't do this. So this full moon really brings things into focus during this time. A personal issue reaches resolution. I start to see me more succinctly, more openly, and more honestly. The full moon is opposite Pluto, and this is intense. This aspect will see our emotions intensifying. We will be feeling much more vulnerable because of mood swings, because of fears, because of jealousy, and just simply because our emotions are more plugged into the world around us and into ourselves. We're going to be feeling. And for some of us, that's not a place we like to be. We like to numb the pain. We can do it through alcohol, we can do it through drugs, we can do it through disconnecting, but we want to escape. And this is going to be a moon that doesn't let us escape. So, or just trying to be super organized and have everything go just a certain way that we want. This moon is going to force things to get a little bit messy. So just be aware of that. Some of us will find this absolutely exhausting. Do not let yourself be manipulated by others' feelings, by heightened empathic compassion, by a sense of this is what I need to take on, this is what I need to, do for this person because that's what they need from me. Boundaries are going to be super important during this time. For those of us working on empathic or psychic development, this is the perfect time to connect. But again, remember, boundaries are important. How do we plug in, but also how do we plug out? Do we have a beginning, prayer, meditation that we say to connect? And do we have an ending meditation, prayer to do to disconnect? What is it that's important to us? How are we grounding ourselves? How are we becoming, emotionally invested in our lives? And are we becoming too emotionally invested in certain things? So just being aware of that. Now, with the stars, the moon is conjunct the fixed star Prochyron. And Prochyron has a Mars-Mercury nature, which makes it extremely, extremely stubborn, judgy, and hasty. So we have to be aware of this energy as we're stepping forward. We're not going to want to think things through. Plus, we're already of a Mars nature. Aries, Mars rules us. So we're going to be much more reactionary. We're the warrior god. Aries is the warrior god in Greek mythology, Mars in Roman mythology. And so we have this energy and we have this nature around us to dig our heels in, to judge a situation rather quickly and say, this is what needs to be done. This is how we need to move forward. That's it. We're going. And we also have to be aware that we're going to think that the more work we put into something, the more focus we put into something, the better it will be. And that's not always going to be the case. We have to look at things. We have to kind of step back, evaluate, understand, see what, trigger points things are being touched upon, how our emotions might be being manipulated in incongruence to our dreams. And we're going to start to see ourselves needing to become much more aware, because we need to make sure we're being smart about things, because Prochyron can make us think that everything needs to be solved and everything needs to be about force or about violence or about, just going forward. And that's not going to be the case at all. We need to really be mindful of our temper taking over, especially with Prochyron, coming into play. Our tempers can take over, it can get the best of us. So just being aware of that is going to be super important. We have the Mars energy amplified because of us right here, right? We are, again, Aries energy, we're ruled by Mars. We have this warrior, I will fix it, I see the problem, I know what to do type of spirit to us, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We have to make sure that it works for us, not against us, meaning we need to be more kind of not reactionary. We need to be more contemplative. There we go. We need to be more steady within ourselves, seeing the bigger picture of what we desire, the bigger picture of what we need, the bigger picture of where we need to be for ourselves, for our souls, and for the place that we want within our lives. During this full moon, we're looking at balance. We're looking at balance for ourselves. We're looking at balance for the world around us. We can get very much caught up in, I have to fix everything. We don't. We have to balance ourselves. And as we balance ourselves, we're going to start to see things start to come into harmony around us. Our sister sign Libra is coming into play, which is very funny because we don't have Libra energy here, but I just keep on seeing the scales, the scales, the scales. And that is all about balance for us. And Libra energy is represented by the scales. So our sister energy can be the energy that we love, that nourishes us, that builds us up, that absolutely connects with us. But it can also be the energy that pushes all our buttons like nobody else. So here during this time, as we're embracing balance, as we're embracing our understanding, we need to know that this might be pushing us so far out of our comfort zone, we don't know how to react, or we can feel completely overwhelmed. We might try to control everything, but this is a time to let certain things happen organically, see where life takes us, see how life moves us forward. And it brings us to the Magician. This is all about, at our root, all the really powerful cards have come forward. And it's saying here, how am I taking control of my life, of myself? Am I taking control of who I am? Or am I just a pawn that's, being kind of knocked around during this time? And it brings us to the Magician. As above, so below. As you believe it, so it becomes. And I know that's such an overused statement with the Magician, but it's so absolutely true. What we think, how we connect, how we understand, that shapes us, that, connects us with how we stand before the altar of our existence and call forward our gifts, our elemental power, who it is that we are, what it is that we desire, what it is that we want. And what we're going to see here is that we're getting certain knowledge. We're seeing what has been planted within us, okay? Because we're going to the Eight of Pentacles right here at our heart. I know we're jumping, right? But the Eight of Pentacles is, how am I being shaped? How have the traumas that I've been through, the hurts, the pains, the disappointments, the overwhelmed emotion that I have been through in my life shaped me? Because we usually think of the Eight of Pentacles all about work, but it's also about the spiritual things, the emotional things that have been thrown in our way. We're going to see that we need to have courage. We need to have courage to believe in our dreams, to believe in what we desire, to believe in connecting and how we're feeling and what we want from our lives. And I know people say, oh, connecting with your feelings, like, can you be more kind of blasé about things? I don't think connecting with your feelings is blasé at all. Stepping back and saying, how do I feel? What is up with me? Why am I overwhelmed? Why is this stressful for me? Why is this overwhelming? Can be a very traumatic thing. It can bring up traumas in our lives. It can bring up insecurities in our lives that we thought we have dealt with. And so when we stand before the altar of our existence, which the Magician has us do, and call forward our blessings, we're also looking at the curses that have been around us, the hurts and the pains and the disappointments that have made us defensive, that have made us, courageous, that have made us who it is that we are. And it can wound so easily. And yet what we're saying here is, if I stand, and if I stand tall, and if I stand strong, and if I say, it doesn't matter what they think, it's what I think of me. It's how I connect to me. It is how I am brave for me. That becomes life-changing. And the thoughts that we have, they're important. They are so important, not to everybody else, but to us. How does it empower us? How does it move us? How does it guide us? And it brings us to the Hierophant. If we're going to look at a person who is more powerful than the emperor, than us, it's the Hierophant. In medieval times, the Pope, in the Western world, was the most powerful person. He was the person who told emperors, empresses, kings, queens, what to do. And so here we have the Pope energy coming forward. The Pope is represented, as the Hierophant. The Hierophant represents the Pope. And so here we have this power. We have this tradition. We have this authority. And what it isn't, what does my orthodoxy tell me? What does, my religion tell me? What is how I was born and raised tell me? We have the authority of ourselves coming forward, saying, this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I need. And it starts to hold the keys to our existence, to our soul, and to ourselves. It starts to open up the door in a way that is extraordinary. And it brings us to the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups for me is not only the celebration of family and friends and people who love us, but it's our mind's manipulation of things. And it's the people who didn't raise their glass to us. It is the people who didn't understand us, who were supposed to be there for us. These could be parents or guardians or, lovers, and just people that we trusted, wives, husband, partners. It's people that we've trusted that turned their backs on us. Grandparents, this is betrayal. And we focus on that betrayal. We focus on that hurt. When times get rough, we're going to hear those negative voices in our heads. Oh, well, of course you couldn't do this. Oh, you always thought you were so special, type of thing. And here, it's looking at that pain and saying, you don't get to define me. You don't get to be the voice that I hear. And it's also looking at the people who have celebrated us, who have stood by us, who have loved us, which we tend not to see as much because we're focusing on the negative. The negative is supposed to be more prominent within our mind because it's a survival mechanism. It kept us from eating the bad plants. It kept us from, being friends with the murderer in the group, that type of thing. It kept us safe. And it moves us to the Six of Cups because the Six of Cups is our past coming forward. And the past brings with it pain because the past can never be recreated. It's always something that we reminisce about. And the Six of Cups is also, those words, those hurtful words, the way we were categorized when we were younger. Oh, you were the silly one or the stupid one or the, not so talented one. And oh, your brother was celebrated or, this person in class was celebrated or your sister, but it was never you, the type of thing. It's our inadequacies that come forward. It's the hurts and the pains that we have, or it can even be just the trauma that we lived through. Oh no, we don't have enough money for that. Oh no, you are being too greedy. Those type of things that come forward. And we have that narrative in our mind, or hold on to it. You never know when you'll be cold. You never know when you will need it. You'll never know when you'll be hungry. Don't you dare waste. Don't you dare do this. Don't you dare do that. People have it so much more worse, or so much worse than you do. And it's just going to be those words that come forward, and it stops us. And our inner self, our inner narrative right now is very much going to be focusing on personal issues, personal self, which absolutely aligns with what this moon is bringing us. It's bringing us our personage forward. It's bringing us what we carry. And it's saying to us, this has been a tower time. Going through all of this has been a test by the divinity to push us out of our comfort zone, to have us face things that if we had it our way, we would never face. We would never have to see. We would never have to contemplate. And divinity is throwing us again out of our comfort zone and saying, how do you land? How do you persevere? Where is it that you want to be? The tower is intensity. The tower is power. The tower is 16 years of struggle, 16 months, 16 days, 16 weeks, whatever it is. It can be from the age of 16 forward. That sense of, I'm finding me, but it seems to be so much easier for everybody else. And it's such a struggle for me. The tower shakes us. The tower rocks us. And it brings us to this place of what has been thrown at me that I have to work, that I have to gain the understanding of, that I have to see my own power come forward, that I have to start recognizing myself. The Eight of Pentacles is the hard work, the dedication that we put in. And we're going to think of this as work. This is what I put into my business. This is what I put into my children. This is what I put into my job, type of thing. This is what I put into my partner. But it's also what I put into me. What have I been doing the work on? What has been thrown my way time and time again? The lessons that divinity is kind of like smashing over our heads saying, see it, see it, see it. I don't know how much more intense it can be. And it brings us to the Seven of Pentacles. It says here, goals and potential and success. So there are goals. Bring out our potential. Bring out success. My mother would always use the Peter principle in business when she was talking to us. You rise to the level of your inability, which sounds harsh, but you rise to the level that you are either capable of doing, or sometimes you go a little bit above and it becomes very overwhelming. What we're looking for here is the patience that we have to rise, to see ourselves, to see our strengths and our weaknesses, to be open and to be honest with ourselves with what we want, where we're headed, and what we desire within our lives. Also to see kind of where divinity has been guiding us. I know it sounds silly to say, what does the universe have in store for us? But if there have been certain roadblocks, certain things that keep coming in our path time and time again, how do we see that? How do we realize that? How do we understand that? How do we see, realize, and understand ourselves? And it moves us to the Five of Wands. It says competition, debate, defense. And it's like, this can start off as a debate. This is like, I'm going to debate these ideas. I'm going to debate this. I'm going to debate that. And it becomes conflict. This is something that grows out of something that wasn't supposed to be a big deal, but it becomes a big deal. And this is going to be a time for us where we need to see ourselves. We need to see the conflict that's in our lives. We need to see the people or the ideas that we keep on running up against, that we keep on fighting against. Or we're going to see how fighting, how conflict, how just not being calm, being smooth, being connected has become a part of our lives, has become a part of us, because Cancer is in its property of the moon. It's in the full moon. It's come to this understanding, this, fullness, this spotlight of our inner self, of what we desire, of what we want, of what we need, of who we are. And it's saying, do you see you? Do you understand you? Will you move forward in that power, in that brilliance that is you? And it's looking at the good, bad, the ugly, the in-between, everything that makes us who we are. It moves us to seeing what the moon has to say for ourselves. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. So at our root, the moon is saying, nothing is yet set in stone. Gratitude. Move forward with gratitude for the ideas that are coming our way, for the strength, for the magic, for the honoring of self that is moving us forward, that is coming into our lives. Nothing is set in stone. And yet we tend to think, oh my gosh, it's always going to be like this. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to. We think in terms of absolution. And Spirit is saying here, nothing is absolute. Things can be changed. People can change. We can change. When we're talking about other people, other people can change up to the point that they're ready to change for. And some people will never change. So just be mindful of that. But nothing is set in stone. Everything has its way of evolving. And even stone can be worn down by the wind, by the rain, by the tides. It's going to be important to know that everything is changing. Plato, there we go. Pluto said, all is flux and nothing stays the same. And that is important because all is changing. All will forever be changing. And if this statement rings true now, and it was said 400 years BCE or BC, however you want to see it, it's important. It is important to acknowledge. It is important to embrace. It is a fundamental point of human nature and human self. It moves us to our lunar inner self. And this says communication is key, balance. Because if we don't communicate, especially with ourselves, with what we want and how we're moving forward and what's important to us, how will we be balanced? How will we see? How will we understand? Communication is key, but it balances us. And we have to have that inner dialogue, even if it's journaling. If you don't like to journal, if you're like me and highly dyslexic, that might not be the modality that cleanses, right? It could be through talking. It could be through drawing. It could be through, coloring in a coloring book. Whatever it is, to release negative energy and to say, how do I balance myself? What is it that I need to see within me? That's going to be important. It moves us to our lunar emotional self. And it says you're very close to achieving your goals, blossoming. You are blossoming. You're blossoming into the person that you've always wanted to be. You're blossoming into, what it is that you desire, what it is that you love, what it is that you need. It brings us to our lunar public arena self. And it says, don't let your past hold you back. Wisdom. Our past brings us wisdom. But our past also brings a lot of baggage. A lot of things that we might not want to be bringing forward into our present. But our past is how we judge everything off of. If we were in a bad relationship or if we were betrayed, we'll have a tendency to say, oh, this will fall apart or I'm going to be betrayed again, sort of deal. So here, do not drag the past into the present, okay? Don't let your past hold you back. Don't let it be the anchor around you that keeps you from moving forward into the present, into what it is that you desire, into embracing the public world, the way that you want to, and setting your own rules, setting your own goals. And it's wisdom that helps us. It's the wisdom of others. It's the wisdom of ourselves, that we've accumulated over time. It's the wisdom of being. It's the wisdom of understanding. It's the wisdom of the people that we surround ourselves with. And it's going to change the game. And it brings us to our subconscious Luna self. And this says, bring love into the situation. Self-reflection. So as we reflect on ourselves, bring love into the situation. Open up your heart. Open up what you desire. Open up what you greatly need. It moves us to, I'm just going to put these over here. It moves us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of. And that's strength. That's thinking, this is Leo energy. That's going to be the ego getting in the way. It's going to be the sense of brute force will get me what I want. And if I just push or try, or not even try, if I'm just stubborn enough, if I try enough, if I'm forceful enough, if I demand it enough, it will be. So just be mindful of that. It moves us to our subconscious chakra energy, which is truth. And this is the throat chakra. I need to speak my truth as I see it. It doesn't mean that I need to tell everybody this is the truth and you have to see it the same exact way I do. We all have different ways of receiving things. If we all see color just a little bit differently because of our neurological makeup, we all see things differently. We'll all highlight different things in a situation. That's why eyewitnesses aren't always the best form of, of knowledge when, people are asking questions. So here, it's going to be that sense of, I need to look at the truth as I see it. I also need to know that this isn't going to be written in stone, that others see things differently. But this is what I need, what I desire, and what I want from my life. And I need to honor it within myself. So this becomes kind of the core basis for what I build my life off of and what I build my life for and from. It moves us to our subconscious rooted energy. And this is the world. The world is opening to us. And I love that he has a fairy tale book opened on his lap as he falls asleep. It's like the world is endless if we open our mind to it, if we open ourselves to it. And also if we start to realize, what I want from my world, what it is that I desire. My definition of what I want might not be your definition of what you want from the world. And so to honor that, to understand that, that's going to be so important. And then it brings us to our subconscious inner self. And it's the Six of Wands. It's celebration of self. It's celebration of what I desire, of who it is that I am, of how it is that I need to move forward. We're so ready to knock ourselves down. This isn't saying get a big head, let the ego rule. But this is saying, celebrate you. Celebrate when things are done well. Celebrate your joy. Celebrate your successes. Celebrate what you desire from your life. And it moves us to our subconscious emotional self. And that is the Empress. We are pregnant with possibilities. We are birthing forward what we desire. We're also not letting others dictate how we see ourselves and how we judge ourselves. And so there is beauty to us. There is power to us. And there's a realization of so much more here than we had ever thought could be. The Empress, also, we have the Emperor and the Empress coming forward. We're not going to see the soulmate connection, the true love connection. We're not going to see the power of the connection with us, with what we truly love and what we truly need and who we truly are right away. It's just not going to be. It's the subconscious and the conscious kind of coming together. What we are going to see is that when the Empress comes in, we feel more at home. We feel seen and we feel love. We come forward. Our energy is the quintessential or the eternal father, right? This is the eternal mother within the tarot. We need to embrace that loving energy, that caring energy, that supportive energy, as much as we embrace the practical energy, the you can do it, try, look at things a different way sort of energy of the father. And I don't want to make these two quote unquote, stereotypical male-female energies, but that's what it's going to feel like. It's going to be, if you just try hard enough, if you go after what you want, if you assert yourself, you'll be able to get what you want. That doesn't always work. Yet that's going to be our main way of handling situations. I'm going to assert myself. I know what needs to be done. I can do it. And yet, as we open our hearts, as we, pay attention to what our soul needs, what we need emotionally, internally, that's going to be a game changer. And that's really going to help us. It moves us to our subconscious public arena self. And this is the Three of Swords. And the Three of Swords is heartbreak, sorrow, and grief. We have to acknowledge where things have gone wrong. Who has broken our heart? How has our heart been broken? How have we been broken? How have we become overwhelmed? What is it that I want for my life? Where is it that I need to be for myself? What is it that I desire for me? And as we're opening to that energy, to those ideas, we're opening to ourselves more and more and more. And here, it's taking out the swords. It's naming the pain. Because as we take out the swords, we're not cutting open the wound again. It's healing, it's treating, it's taking care of ourselves. And that becomes astoundingly powerful. And that is astoundingly powerful. To acknowledge pain and to say it. This is the pain that has defined me for way too long within my life. I am not going to be ruled by it anymore. Because a personal issue is reaching a resolution. The heart is being seen. The soul is being seen. And our power, our instincts, our ideas are really starting to come forward. All right. All right, Aries. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy, as we embrace the power and the intensity of this time and of ourselves. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Aries. And may you have a blessed moon.